Okay.
Did I post?
Oh wait, why is the chat on this side weird? Okay. My Streamlabs is weird right now, but that's
Right.
okay.
Posted
I did have to reset everything,
and tweeted it.
so that makes sense, I guess. I don't know. Anyone got the stream up? Checking audio, making sure we're all sounding good. I would, but
Audio check.
internet
I will
is
be.
bad. One thing open.
Mm-hmm.
All good?
It is not showing live for me.
It should be.
Buffering on my end.
I got 40.
I'm gonna have to just
Oh wait. Okay, I think we're good now.
follow my tracers. Oh,
I see a bit rate now, which is good. So.
great. We are live.
We are live. Audio doing okay? Testing. Hello.
Testing.
Is there anybody out there? Is there anybody listening to me?
I am.
Is there anybody else scared? I can't remember this
The
later.
paranoia brings me to my knees,
Oh, there
I
you
think. Yeah. But we're good?
Go. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay. Audio sounds good then?
Sounds good.
Cool.
Take it.
Let's get it going. Welcome everyone to Follow My Tracers, episode 10. Holy moly, double digits. Live on YouTube. I'm joined by one of your hosts. I am one of your hosts, sorry. Figure 9, aka Tony. Jeez, maybe I'm on the candy right now. And I'm joined by Jim, aka Power Grudge. What's going on, man?
I am also joined by a co-host. His name is Harley. Harley, how you doing?
Hi. I'm doing okay. How are you guys?
We're off to a fantastic start here. Harley, I thought you were gonna go, and I'm also joined by a co-host, and bring it back around to me. That would have been
I was
good.
thinking about it.
That would have been funny. Yeah, but how are we doing, fellas? Everyone have a good week? Mine was pretty uneventful, kind of busy-ish with work, and my room is currently a disaster zone, getting ready for the move next week. Jim, we'll start with you.
Yeah, my week's been pretty good. Been busy with work, being short-staffed and all that. But other
Yeah.
than that, yeah, I've had a pretty good week, to be honest.
Cool.
Nothing too crazy.
What games have you been playing this week, if any?
So I've also made. Okay, I jumped far ahead. So I've been playing. I started playing Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag because back almost a year ago now, when it's like global lockdown started, I decided that I was going to beat all the Assassin's Creed games. So I pounded out the first one up to, I guess it would be 3, and then I stopped because I did like 5 games in the span of like a month and a half or 2 months, and I was like, okay, I got to slow down a little bit because I'm going to fry myself. So I took like a break for I guess 8 months, something like that. But I've decided to pick it back up again, so now I'm going to be powering through those. And other than that, I've been playing lots of Battlefront 2. Not necessarily because of last week's episode, but mostly because it went free on PC. And it's always exciting when a game I played a lot to start with kind of has like a second life. And it's just nice to be able to play the game kind of the way I always wanted to play it, with the graphical fidelity. And I'm actually getting a lot better with mouse and keyboard, which is nice. But I've made the conscious decision, not because the game's bad, but I've made the decision to not play Cyberpunk right now, and I'm going to just let it sit on the back burner for a while. I want to wait until the game is in a really good state before I go back. I wasn't having any game crashes or huge game-breaking glitches, but just performance-wise, I was starting to get a little irritated with it. So I'm going to let it sit for a while. I'm going to admittedly reinstall Deus Ex Mankind Divided because that's the next game I'm on in that series, as a replay anyway. And I'm just going to focus on Assassin's Creed pretty much because I'd always heard that the 4th one was the best game in the series, and I never really got around to playing it when it came out. Or really 4 up to, I guess Syndicate was the last one that came out before Origins, and I never played that one. And then Odyssey I had and I played. So I'm just kind of going back and reliving that series. And I gotta say, in retrospective, before I move on and give Harley the totem pole here, I gotta say, the first 5 Assassin's Creed games, because this has been on my mind this week, Revelations, which was I guess the third and last game in the Ezio trilogy, I think that might be my favorite out of the first 5 games. Everything just felt refined enough. I know it was kind of a disappointment to like a lot of fans, but I really liked the story. I like when stories kind of wrap up and conclude really nicely, and I feel like it did. But yeah, that's the end of my spiel. And yeah,
That's interesting. Revelations was easily my least favorite out of the prior to Origins games, I guess. Admittedly, I haven't played Syndicate or even really Unity for that matter, so I guess I can't say that entirely is true, but having played the original Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, Revelations, a bit of 3 and a bit of 4, Revelations is probably the low point for me personally, but I mean, hey, that's what opinions are, right? That's really cool that you found enjoyment in that one. Harley, what about you, man? How you been doing this week? What games have you been playing?
Doing okay. Same old Cold War Warzone, but I kind of got back into World of Warcraft past a or two.
Oh yeah.
It's been 2 days.
yeah, I know you guys are doing that.
Yeah, got my level 50.
Oh, do you?
20 to 50. Yeah,
Nice.
I think in like 4 hours.
Oh
Man,
man,
I was
that's
just-
so much faster than I did it. That's crazy.
Well, mind you, I have like the heirlooms.
Yeah.
I know BFA's like quests like the back of my hand, because I played it like I think 10 times.
Yeah.
So
I guess you knew like, oh
I
yeah,
know,
these are the
know-
quests to do kind of thing, and like,
I know
Yeah.
like where everything goes, what to do, and everything. And I have flying too. Like, can you fly in BFA,
no,
or do you need the
no,
achievement?
I definitely can't fly in
Yeah.
BFA. That would have made everything
'Cause,
so much
there's
faster.
an achievement. Yeah.
Oh.
Mhm.
So what do you got to do
Can
for that
you
achievement?
fly?
So
Flying
at
flip?
level, it's a bit of a grind. Well, it was a grind in BFA. It might not be so bad now that Shadowlands is out. You have to get I think it's Exalted Reputation with all the factions, and you need to complete all the storyline quests, like the main storylines.
Oh, okay.
And I think you need to discover all locations. Like there's a yeah. So I did
That sounds like a lot.
'cause I did that to get all the allied races.
Yeah.
I think 'cause I have all of them, or except the alliance side. Yeah. So I've kind of tipped my toes back into World of Warcraft. I think that's the only 3 games I've really played this week.
It's fair.
I'm playing a lot of Warzone at night.
Oh yeah. Old Warzone. We'll be playing some of that later.
Yeah, yeah.
We've been winning so much more now that DMR isn't overpowered. It's so nice. Like, I don't know. I feel like everyone's on a level playing field again, and if you're not using a DMR, you're like at a disadvantage before, and now it's like, okay, like there's a bunch of different guns you can choose. You can run an M4, you
Exactly.
can run a Bruin, you can run whatever the hell you want, really. And it's almost always going to be viable, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's actually like meta-wise, like there's nothing broken in Warzone right now.
Yeah, it seems pretty open right now.
Yeah, like I feel like now that the DMR is there, and like the MAC-10 is still really good, but there's other SMGs that are also still really good. Like the MP5 is still amazing.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of success with the MP7 recently, so it's been, yeah, I'm definitely excited with Warzone. It just sucks that there's no anti-cheat, which we're gonna get to later. I guess myself personally, I've been playing, yeah, a lot of World of Warcraft as well. Just going through Shadowlands, completed the campaign there as far as I can go, anyways. And just I'm doing lots of dungeon runs and world quests and just leveling up my Covenant. It's a good time. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I also 100%ed DBZ Kakarot this week. That game is completely done for me now. Every single side quest is done. All the achievements are done. Got 1,000 gamer score. Had such a good time with that game. I absolutely adore it. I really like it. So there are some DLC packs for that game. Extra story missions that kind of leak into DBZ Super. And I'm probably going to pick those up at some point, but right now they're still full price. So I know that Xbox a lot of the times they put like the season pass on sale, you know, and like that kind of stuff. So I'm going to wait for that to happen now that the game's especially been out a year. And apparently there's one more story pack coming out at some point too. So gonna put DBZ Kakarot down for now, and I'll pick it up later for sure. Other than that, played a bit of Dead Rising since that was Games with Gold. Multiple times, I kind of just got like I was just like running in the mall and progressing through the story, and then I died, and then I realized that game doesn't have autosave. So it's brutal. Like I put like 3 or 4 hours into it one night, and then I died, and then I'm like, oh, that's okay, I'll probably just spawn like outside over here. No, like I literally, the only place I saved was the first time you can save on that couch as you go in. So I'm just like, it happened to me once, and I'm like, oh crap, okay, I gotta remember to do something. And then the second time I got like a couple hours in, and I'm okay, I gotta go save, and then I got swarmed because it was nighttime and I died again. So I put Dead Rising down for a while again. I'm probably what a fun game, man. Dead Rising's awesome, but also super frustrating in that regard. Yeah, so
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's good, man. I mean, it's the remastered version of Dead Rising, so I mean, it's still it's not like super HD or anything like that, but it still looks like it's like a mid 2000s kind of game. But at least it's like, I think it's full 1080p and it fills the whole screen, and like the frame rate's pretty good. Like, and it was like a remaster for the Xbox One, not like the Series X or anything. So you guys will be able to run it really well. Might as well get it. It's free, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
I think it's like 8 gigs. Like it's literally nothing. So
it's definitely one of those older games that's like so worth the playthrough. Like that's a game you can never do the story. You could just run around and grab whatever you can find.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's so much fun, man.
And like never touch the story. I don't think to this day I've ever completed the story. I've just run around the full 3 days just killing stuff, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know. When that was one of the first games I remember like actively being like super hyped for, and that was what, like 2007, I think it came out, 2006 originally.
Wasn't it a launch game? I forget.
Oh well, there you go. So I mean, like,
oh no, I think it was 2006.
Okay, so I got it around the same time I got my Xbox 360, which was the year after it came out. But yeah,
good times, man. And it's so funny too, because like you go on and you get like a stupid outfit on, and you're wearing like a Lego head, and then you go into a cutscene and your guy's still wearing it all, and like it's just so good, man. I love it. It's so funny. It's such a serious game. Like the story is so serious, and everything that's happening is so serious, but it's also so silly. It's great. Makes me want to play all the other Dead Rising games too. Actually, I might dive into some other ones. I never really gave 4 a chance. So I might have to look at that.
I'm anxious to play 4, but kind of like what you were saying about how Dead Rising 1's like, it's super serious, but there's also like such a underlying hilarity under it. I'm kind of worried because I don't know anything about it, but kind of worried that as the games went on, it got really serious. Like I remember playing Dead Rising 3, and like there wasn't. What I remember, it might be wrong. There wasn't a whole lot of humor to it. Not that it's like a comedy game, but there wasn't like a self-awareness to it. It was like super, or maybe I'm saying it wrong, but it was almost like too on the dial of serious. So,
yeah. I don't know. It definitely felt like that. I played a bit of Dead Rising 3. That was a launch game for the Xbox One, if you remember, and it was an exclusive too. But yeah, it was definitely a little too serious. Though I remember Dead Rising 4 was in a mall again, and it was set around Christmas time. So the whole mall is like Christmas decorated, and like every store's got Christmas stuff up, and there's Christmas zombies running around, and like I feel like I think Dead Rising 4 might be really, really silly, which I'm excited to try out. And 2 was always fun too. I remember playing Dead Rising 2 back in the day. But anyways, enough about Dead Rising. Let's go into the show here. A reminder for everyone watching live here on YouTube that you guys can talk in the chat. We want to hear what you guys want to say. So ask questions in the chat, respond to us, and we'll do our best to respond to you guys live during the show. And for anyone watching the VOD later on YouTube, you guys can leave a comment, and we're going to do our best to answer your questions on the next episode. Before we get into Infinite Watch, let's get into the not sponsored Fuel Up with G Fuel, which is funny because I think the Game Fuel? Mountain Dew Game Fuel? I think their slogan is Fuel Up with Game Fuel. So I feel like I'm kind of crossing streams here, but Fuel Up with G Fuel, not sponsored. What are we all drinking today? I am doing some Shiny Splash right now. Harley, what about you?
Ooh. I got some PewDiePie.
Ooh, nice. Jim?
I'm dipping into the snow cone.
Oh, baby.
Ooh.
My G Fuel's apparently in Canada. The stuff I ordered, it's now in Canada, so I'm hoping it's going
Oh,
to get
yeah.
here sometime before
Oh.
Friday because I move on Friday.
That was New Year's, right?
It was New Year's, yeah. So
Oh my.
they did say there's Canada Post shipping delays and all that, so I understand that.
Mhm.
They're probably super backed up from Christmas, but I hope I get it, yeah, in the next few days here because otherwise it's gonna be staying at this house and I'll need to either come and get it or they're gonna have to come drive it to me afterwards. But yeah. Now we're gonna get into Infinite Watch and we have a little 10-second clip here to play, so I'm gonna play it.
Cortana.
Goodbye, John.
So for you guys, I don't think you guys could hear that. So that was the very end of Halo 4 when Chief's like Cortana, and then Cortana like reaches out and touches Chief somehow, even though she's an AI, and then she's like, "Goodbye, John." I just played that, anyways. So a little bit of Halo Infinite news this week. Nothing crazy. I love Halo, man. Windows Central has reported that 343 is actively drafting plans for multiple beta tests for Halo Infinite to come later in 2021. And this is something that we learned back in that December Infinite update, or Inside Infinite update, I guess is what you call it. So they said that they're going back and they're going to be doing flighting. And Windows Central confirms that they're actively drafting plans for that right now, which is exciting. And according to the report, the beta tests for Infinite will begin small, and they're going to grow in size over time. And as with the case with the Halo Master Chief Collection flights, the feedback from the beta tests will inform key decisions about Halo Infinite as 343 prepares to release the game publicly. So, to me, that kind of confirms my suspicions before, where they're probably going to release it to insiders first, Halo insiders, and then they're going to slowly kind of let more and more people get in, and then eventually there'll be a big public beta, I imagine. So that's exciting news that they're drafting plans for that. There's no date on that yet, but as with any beta, if you want time to actually like implement the stuff that the beta like shows you that you need to change, you do need a lot of time. Like you don't just do a beta like a month before launch. That there's no way they're gonna be able to fix anything. So I mean, I suspect that we'll see a beta, or at least start to see a flighting test sometime in the spring at the earliest, which is exciting. Really excited to play that. As well, not really Halo Infinite news, but Halo news I wanted to mention nonetheless, and it kind of fits with the theme. The song Blow Me Away by Breaking Benjamin, famously heard in Halo 2 and actually made for Halo 2, and it hasn't been out on any other album. It's just a single for Halo 2. A lot of you guys have probably heard it who are listening. It's an awesome song, and Jim and I can attest to this song is fuck it, I'm gonna swear on the podcast, fucking awesome live, man. It's so good.
Yeah.
It was so good live, man. I have such vivid like
I like it
memories
too.
of that song live. It was
It's great.
amazing. And
I
yeah,
remember
it's
the music video.
yeah, music video, and it's so good. It's such a good song, and it's crazy that it was just like a single for the game. It might be one of the best like video game songs from like a band. Like it's got to be up there. Like in terms of
Yeah,
like ones made
big
for like not a song that was featured in the game, a song that was made for the game. You know what I mean? It's got to be up there in terms of one of the best ones. But anyways, kind of got off track. That song has officially gone platinum, which is cool and kind of crazy because that song isn't on any of their studio albums, so it's just kind of a single. Kind of shows the success of the song and also the longevity. That song came out in 2004. It would have been, right? So the fact that it achieved platinum after all these years it's kind of a testament to, I guess, not the crazy popularity of the song, but the ongoing support of the band and the song, and ultimately Halo as well. And now we're going to get into some news. We've got a lot of news this week. We're going to try to fly by some of it because we really want to get into the main topic, which is a hot topic today. It just got released today in terms of the press statement. So I'm going to start off with a bunch of Cyberpunk stuff because it wouldn't be an episode of Follow My Tracers without Cyberpunk. So Cyberpunk patch 1.1 is officially out. So this is the big January patch that they've been telling us they were going to do. I'm not going to go through all of the patch notes. You can go on CD Projekt Red's website if you want to read them. It's out on every platform, so PC, Xbox, PlayStation, Stadia. And here's what they say. So in this update, we focused on various stability improvements, which you can find outlined in the patch notes below. We will continue this work in patch 1.2 and other upcoming updates. Super vague. Okay. In general, they have memory usage improvements in various systems within the game, various crash fixes, and importantly, address the issue for saves getting oversized. I don't know if you guys remember that story where Cyberpunk was like the save files were getting too big, and then like the save files would get corrupt. So they fixed that, and they've kind of fixed the core root of that, and they've trimmed the excess save file size across all existing saves. Unfortunately, it will not fix PC save files that have been corrupted from this issue. It's kind of just like now it won't be an issue, but if you had that issue before, sorry, that save is still screwed. But nice to note that that's fixed. That's a pretty big issue. PlayStation specific performance optimization of crowds on PlayStation 4 Pro and PlayStation 5. Interestingly enough, they didn't mention base PS4 there, which I thought was interesting. And then various crash fixes on PlayStation 4. Again, super vague. And then Xbox specific, they have improved memory usage for character creation, mirrors, scanning, camera remote control, menus on Xbox One, Xbox One X, and Xbox One S. No mention of Series X. It was just the last gen Xbox specific stuff. So I mean, I was expecting this patch to actually do a hell of a lot more than what they mentioned. I haven't downloaded it yet because they literally released it like 2 hours before we went live. So I'll have to give it a shot once I download it, but I actually don't think this fixed a whole lot. I think it's just gonna like make it so the game doesn't crash all the time, which I mean is super important, but from what it sounds like, the performance of the game is still, at least on console, not where it needs to be. I'm the same as Jim, where I've kind of put Cyberpunk down, and for this reason, I feel like the first few hours what I've played with Cyberpunk I've really, really liked, and I don't want the performance of the game to like hinder my experience. It's not like Skyrim where I can get around it because like I don't know, Bethesda games, unless it's Fallout 76, I can usually like forgive, but I just feel it feels different this time.
They're not really bad.
Yeah, like you can still like play the game and like not be
and if
super
anything,
frustrated.
It's goofy.
Yeah, exactly.
Dolls and stuff like that.
Exactly. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on the patch notes for Cyberpunk before I get into a few other things about Cyberpunk.
Do you have anything, Harley? I got a few things to say.
You can go ahead.
So, I hope it's not like a situation where, just speaking ahead here, where when the next gen stuff comes out and like it's working, it's not like too little too late for Cyberpunk. There's a great video, and I sent it to Harley. I meant to send it to you, Tony, but it's a great video by a YouTube channel called Beat 'em Ups. He's fairly popular. I'm sure you've heard of him, or in some capacity.
Yeah.
Anyway. He's a big like Nintendo Switch YouTuber. He made a great video on Cyberpunk. He put over 50 hours into it and gave a big critique on it, both good and bad, mostly negative, but like both good and bad. And he kind of goes through all the different mechanics of the game, and it kind of makes you realize how kind of like bare bones in general Cyberpunk is compared to what they promised and like what other games are doing, kind of like Watch Dogs or even like Witcher 3, for example. I highly recommend the video, not to turn anybody against Cyberpunk, because I still really do want to play it. I just want to play it. It's weird to say it, but I just kind of want to play it when it's ready, and I don't think it's totally ready yet. Not for me anyway, because I hold the story in such a high regard. I just can't get past all the little issues it still has. So I'm gonna just wait. But I do highly recommend that video to everybody because it's a good video. It's well made too. It's not like staring at the screen while he's talking. There's a lot of production behind it.
He makes a lot of comparisons to other games too, which is really nice.
I think that's important too, because like games like Watch Dogs, Legion, and even like Red Dead, like these massive games, which are just as big as Cyberpunk, if not way bigger, they come out and they're in a better state and they had less development time. And it's just like
Red Dead was really good.
Yeah, like Red Dead came out, and aside from the multiplayer, and the multiplayer didn't launch with it if I remember correctly, but
no,
like Red Dead came out and like that game's about as perfect as you can get it, if not a little long, but I mean, what an awesome game. I
agree. It's one of my favorite games, I would argue, of all time, but I'd say top 10 at least.
we always get into our Red Dead voices and we're like Tahiti and like so like,
Yeah.
like I don't know, like I don't think that's gonna go
Arthur.
away. Like Arthur, yeah. Like I don't know, it's become like a thing with us. I don't know. I really like Red Dead.
Like a little meme.
Yeah, it's like a meme.
And
A
like
meme of
you know
love.
what, like
Yeah.
it all comes out of love. Like we don't do it because we hate the game, but like in actuality, like all this cyberpunk stuff, it just kind of makes me want to actually play Watch Dogs over it because Watch Dogs, it's at least it seems to kind of deliver on a lot of what it promised. So I'm more excited to try that and go through that after I'm done. At least with Black Flag, I might go just pound all the Assassin's Creed games out. But once I'm done that, then I'm definitely gonna dive into Watch Dogs because the little bit I recorded for gameplay, I don't know what episode it was, but I had a lot of fun with it actually. It was really fun,
There you go.
and it performs well, which is important. At least for me. I don't. Other people might have different experiences, which I don't know if they do or not, but it performed well for me.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, so aside from the patch notes, a couple other things about Cyberpunk this week I really want to quickly get to before we move on. So there's another lawsuit coming CD Projekt Red's way, and it's claiming the same stuff as the other ones, but it is a new lawsuit. And the content of the claim, it's said to be the same as the one filed against the studio at the end of last year, and that first lawsuit claimed, for those who don't remember, that investors were misled about the performance of Cyberpunk 2077 on Xbox One and PlayStation 4 consoles. And they're basically looking to get money from CD Projekt Red because they were led to believe that it was going to be something else, hence why they invested in it, and then it wasn't what it was. So again, looks like CD Projekt Red is just in a lot of deep legal trouble, and we have lots of other legal and stock stuff to get to later this episode. Last thing about Cyberpunk, I think the last thing about Cyberpunk is that in a report from Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, which I'm not sure if you guys know who Jason Schreier is, he's kind of like the industry guy who like exposed crunch in a lot of ways and likes to kind of do insider stories on how game devs are treated and like messed up situations and stuff like that.
Okay.
He put out a report that he's talked to developers at CD Projekt Red, and they knew the game wasn't going to be ready for launch in 2020. And according to one developer, quote, they expected the game to be ready in 2022 based on the progress the team was making back in 2019.
Wow.
2022.
Huh.
Not even this year, next year. That's crazy. And that just kind of goes to show, and and kind of confirms what everyone's been thinking and saying, is that the game is just, it's not quite there yet, in a lot of ways. And that's just like, I guess the investors and like everyone was just like, okay, the game's ready, put it out, or okay, this game's been in development for 10 years now, or whatever it was, like it needs to come out, just put it out, and we'll what's the quote? Is it build the plane as it goes up or something like that? I forget what it is. There's a saying where it's like I think it's build the plane as you fly. It's something like that. But that's kind of what it feels like, or like build the plane as you land. Like they're kind of just like doing it as they go, which don't blame the devs again. This sounds like a complete like upper management issue. But interesting that devs have been saying that stuff, and I'm sure there's going to be like crazy stories that come out from Cyberpunk's development like a few years from now or 10 years from now, when developers maybe aren't working there anymore and they're not worried about losing their jobs or whatever it is, and there's going to be some crazy stuff that comes out. I bet we're going to hear so much about this game. It's going to be nuts. Anything else to say about Cyberpunk, Jim or Harley, before we move on?
I think I'm good.
Cool. Yes, Superfish in chat has corrected me. Of course, the quote is, get 9 women pregnant at the same time and you'll have a baby in 1 month. Of course. No, that is not the quote. I've never heard that before. Somebody banned Superfish 1, 2, 3.
Companies hate this one. Simple trick.
Yeah.
Oh.
Good stuff. All right, so moving on from Cyberpunk, Jim, it looks like Nintendo is facing some more legal trouble. You want to expand on that?
Absolutely. So, for anybody who owns a Switch, apparently, and I experienced it in my household, it's a common issue with Joy-Cons to have Joy-Con drifting, which is when you're not touching the stick, it'll still register as movement. So you could be standing still in a game, let's say, and all of a sudden you'll start just kind of moving around a little bit, but you're not giving it any input, which is an issue. Um, so there's a new class action lawsuit um, coming down Nintendo, filed from multiple places. So lately, the newest one comes out of Canada in Quebec. Quebec-based law firm Lambert Advocate.
It's pronounced Quebec. Thank you.
Quebec, sorry. Quebecois. They filed an application to bring a class action lawsuit against Nintendo a week ago, seeking, quote, to obtain a compensation for all Quebec customers, or consumers, forgive me, who bought the Nintendo Switch or Nintendo Switch Lite systems, as well as Joy-Cons and Nintendo Switch Pro controllers. So they're not too happy that the drift 3 years after the systems come out is still an issue. And not only that, but there have been other class action lawsuits out of the United States, specifically in Illinois, California, and 2 different ones in Washington, and also in Europe. And they're being sued by a French consumer organization, pretty much for the same reason, that they want a permanent fix for these Joy-Cons. And apparently, a joint investigation by 9 organizations based in Netherlands, Belgium, France, Greece, Norway, Italy, Portugal, Slovenia, Slovakia. They're investigating, and they want their Joy-Cons fixed or compensated. And apparently, this is a big disaster for Nintendo, according to who is this? IGN. So Nintendo's president, I don't even want to try and pronounce the name, has formally apologized. But to everybody who owns a Switch, does anybody have this issue as well?
Yep, I have it a little bit on the right Joy-Con, a little bit of drift. On my Pro Controller, though, which I'm primarily use, my Pro Controller is perfect.
What about you, Harley? Even though I know you don't play Switch much.
I don't remember.
That's fair.
It hasn't been on in, I think, a year.
Yeah. Gotta play through Fire Emblem, man.
I know. I keep thinking about it.
Yeah, you should do it.
Probably should.
The cool thing about the Switch, I mean, you could just like lay in bed and play the Switch. Like, it's kind of great.
Yeah, I like being able to plug it into your TV.
That's a big plus. That's kind of like one of the, to go on the positive side of the story here, that's kind of like one of the more revolutionary things I thought was so cool when I first got the Switch. I had Skyrim, and I just laying in bed playing it, and I was like, holy shit, I'm in bed on a handheld system playing Skyrim, and I'm like, it's not even like dumbed down or a content dumbed down, like graphically whatever, but it's not like terribly noticeable. It's like I'm playing Skyrim under the pillows, or under the blankets rather, not even near my TV. And it's just like, I wish every game system did that. But regardless, to go back to the article, I don't even know how far this would go. Like, if this has been an issue since 2017, I might be speaking out of turn like I usually do, but has there been any like big resolutions to this so far, from like lawsuit ends or anything, or no? Because I can't remember, other than reading like that today, seeing lawsuits come against Nintendo because of this.
No, not that I can remember. I think Nintendo temporarily made Joy-Con repairs free, but then they came out with the new model of Joy-Con and they said the issue is fixed, so they're not fixing those ones, but they still have the issue, from what I understand. This whole situation with the Joy-Cons has been ongoing. Like, I feel like I hear about it every few months for the last few years, and it just reminds me of that Conor McGregor quote. He's like, I want to apologize for absolutely nothing. Like, I feel like that's Nintendo right now. They're just like, they don't care. Like, the Joy-Cons don't work, but the Switch keeps selling, so whatever. Like, I don't feel like they care.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, or if it's broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, much. Exactly. If it's broken, but people are buying it regardless, don't fix it. But yeah, super disappointing. Hopefully there's a resolution soon. I don't know what you do. Like, I don't think you can pay out people who bought Switches or anything. Like, I feel like the only thing you could do is make Joy-Con repairs free. Or like partner with retail stores where people can drop off their Joy-Cons with Joy-Con drift and then they get a new pair or something. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, maybe they can do that, but like, I don't know. You're not going to be able to get everyone who bought a Switch like a payout. That's just not going to happen. But we'll see. We will see. There will be a resolution for this at some point. There's multiple class action lawsuits against them. These things do take a lot of time to go through the court system too. So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
It takes many years, lots of lawyers involved, big companies. You know, it's a thing. Good stuff though. Harley, moving on to you. We have some Mass Effect 2 news. Crazily enough,
yes.
in 2021. Want to expand on that?
Yeah, so this is referring to Mass Effect 2's character Jack, who was written and supposed to be pansexual, but the Mass Effect team decided to cut that cut that, remove any kind of like romance options due to supposedly negative feedback from Fox News that they got from the first game because of a romance option between Liara and Fem Shepard. So yeah, it's just one of the Jack's writers, like lead writer, kind of told this is Games Radar, telling how she was essentially pansexual for most of the development of that romance. Mass Effect had been pretty heavily and really unfairly criticized in the US by Fox News, which at the time, maybe more people in the world thought there was a connection between reality and what gets discussed on Fox News. That is his quote. But yeah, it's just a little something. And article writer brings up like, I wonder what's gonna happen with the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. You know, maybe we'll see more options,
Interesting.
some more romance options.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Well, I mean, I don't think they would go out of their way to like start development again on Mass Effect 2. I guess what they might do is like if it was already there, like it was already all written, all the gameplay stuff was already there, and they kind of just like plug and play. Maybe they can do that.
It depends, right?
Yeah, it does depend.
If it was like written and everything, not like fully animated or like fleshed out, and they just cut it last minute, they could add that.
Yeah.
You know, who knows? Yeah, it was just a little something that I caught.
That's crazy, man. I remember that whole, we were talking about it before the podcast, but the whole news thing with Mass Effect, when it's like, oh, you can have sex with aliens, and it's just like, oh, come on, man. Like,
Oh yeah.
it's not what the game's about. Like,
Yeah.
it's Mass Effect is one of the greatest space
Sure is
operas of all
different
time.
Today.
Yeah, definitely different today.
And a lot more open today,
Yeah,
which is good.
it is a good thing.
Agreed.
Moving on from Mass Effect, Harley, to you again. There was a
Ooh.
big Warzone tournament recently,
Ooh.
and there were some cheating accusations.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff
some
going on.
controversy.
Yeah, so if you want to tell us what's going on there.
Right. So it was yesterday, $250,000 tournament with private lobbies was hosted. Twitch Rivals. I believe it was Twitch Rivals Dorito Bowl.
Oh yeah, Dorito Bowl. Yeah, I've heard of that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So then so during the fourth game, there was a Canadian streamer called Metzi who was called out for allegedly cheating. And after that game, I believe, some people reported him to, I believe, to Twitch, and he was disqualified. Him and his team was disqualified. And then later on, he was kind of calling out for people to try and connect to him so he could try and clear his name. And actually, I was watching his stream at this moment, and he actually actually joined another Discord with the streamer Tommy, who has previously kind of led I don't know, I don't want to say witch hunt, but like kind of like investigations into tournament cheaters, and not enough evidence, I guess, to kind of, I don't know, reveal a cheater in a previous tournament. So he's kind of gotten the reputation of like a reliable, I guess, investigator. So this streamer Metzi got into Tommy's Discord, and they kind of talked it out, trying to explain things. And Metzi actually gave Tommy and some of his like crew, like associates, actual like remote access to his desktop, where they then go through all his files, and one of them even took some of his log files, which show up like what programs you launch. So he took all the logs for that day and went through, not on stream, but he went through all the logs to see what programs he had opened. And today, Tommy had tweeted out that he was wrong, and that he's sorry that he got this guy. Well, he didn't. I should clarify. He didn't report him, but he kind of gassed it up, maybe.
Yeah.
But he was saying that he apologizes, and that if Metzi wants any of the money from the tournament, he would gladly give it over, because this tournament isn't kind of like winner gets everything. It gets split between each place. So first place gets 45 grand. But last place, you still get 1,200. So, you still get something for playing the game.
Yeah, it's not.
Him being disqualified, yeah, you get nothing.
It's crazy, man.
So, yeah, as he was saying on his stream, like, this could be like a roadblock, and other streamers and popular COD players have been tweeting out like, why doesn't Activision have an anti-cheat so this kind of stuff doesn't happening? Like Nick Merckx is tweeting, unfortunately, without anti-cheat, authentic Warzone tournaments just aren't possible. Optic Create, there's no excuse. 75 billion company, act like it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So what do you guys think about kind of like tournament cheaters, and like, say if you're like accused, like what that could do to your, like, basically your name?
Jim?
Well, kind of like what we were talking about a little earlier before the podcast was airing. It's very hard, at least in the YouTubers I'm aware of and like the ones I follow, kind of going in a different creative space, but similar concept. When YouTubers are accused of anything that's deemed like super taboo or super controversial, a lot of the times it's very hard to bounce back from that. And in this situation, it seems like these accusations and like kind of the negative backlash kind of going against this. I mean, I hope the guy can recover. I don't watch streamers too often, but I mean, it is people's livelihoods that are affected by this too. So it's kind of unfortunate that this kind of stuff happens. And this whole thing, like I said, just if Activision, and so they can be good in some spots, let's say, but just the fact that I don't know, I get so worked up with Activision just because, like, how long has Warzone been out in our personal experience, and like it's still quite jank in some places. Like, if you have this much money behind your company and you have a tournament, let's say, like with this story, and the money pot's quite big, you should be implementing some like safeties so that this kind of stuff can be avoided. So like this guy's career could potentially be not destroyed, let's say, but it could be really affected, all because Activision fucked up, essentially. Sorry to swear, but like they fucked up. So anyway, what do you think? I think I'm gonna get super negative if I keep talking.
No, I mean, echoing all your points, man. Like, there's no excuse, and like, I like the one part of Nick Merck's tweet where, what was it, Harley? There's too much cheese and too many rats, or something like that.
Oh yeah,
or something like that. So like, there's
too much cheese and way too many rats.
Yeah, too much cheese, way too many rats. Like, it's exactly. You need to. You got to stop this somehow, and it's not like they don't have the means to do it, and it's not like no other game has done it. Almost every other game has it. Master Chief Collection has an anti-cheat. Like, I don't know. It's mind-boggling, but I mean, the thing about Activision is that they're making money in spite of themselves, and it's also important to recognize that Activision actually doesn't like sponsor these tournaments. You know,
Oh.
that's a Twitch/Doritos tournament. It's not an Activision tournament. So, like, really, it's like it's not really money that they're facilitating. There's nothing there they're facilitating aside from it's their game. So that's kind of unfortunate too. And I don't think Activision has actually ran any Warzone tournaments. Like, it's all been like other companies. I'll have to look into that. But
They might have the Call of Duty League tournaments.
yeah, that's true. The Call of
might be
Duty
one.
League. Yeah. But I guess that's more contained. Like, that's kind of
Yeah.
a whole different thing.
There are many rules and
Yeah.
No.
There's organizations behind that. It's not just
Yeah,
it's not just
exactly,
random streamer A versus random streamer B. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
These are like you said, they're organizations.
Yeah.
You know.
So super
Yeah,
super
so,
disappointing.
Yeah, he could have like a mark on his career affecting, invitations to other tournaments. Hopefully with the apology it clears him. Hopefully he is not cheating.
Yeah, maybe
'cause
he
I-
actually is cheating. Who knows?
I don't believe. Yeah. 'Cause, yeah, he didn't. There wasn't enough evidence, that Tommy said.
Yeah.
So he said, I'll hold my hands up and admit we were wrong. I'm sorry for letting a lot of you down. I don't know what more to say, but I accept and deserve anything that comes from this. Yeah.
I feel like the fair thing to do is just to make sure he's in the next one, and also to make sure
Yeah.
he gets at least whatever the 40th place or whatever team would have got. You know, like the last place team. Okay, you get the $1,200 or whatever it is, and obviously that's, it's not ideal, but at least it's not nothing.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, here's your payout, and you're good for the next tournament, and and ultimately I think it's
Yeah, I
just
guess
on
we'll see.
it's on the tournament organizers just to keep tabs on it, and hopefully Activision will
Mhm.
eventually implement an anti-cheat. But it's been almost a year at this
Yeah.
point. We'll see. Moving on from Call of Duty, I'm gonna blow through a couple quick stories here on my end before we come back to you guys, just because we're starting to run a little late on the news here. So GameStop stocks are surging. They're up 80% today. It's crazy.
Wow.
So, I mean, GameStop stocks they've been in the gutter for a long time. Everyone knows it's a foregone conclusion that unless they drastically change their business, they're going to die out. Not too many people buy physical games anymore. If you go into a GameStop now, they try to sell you warranties that you don't want, and it's just filled with Funko Pops, and like it's kind of like, I don't know, like I like having a game store around, but at the same time I don't like going into GameStop, or I guess EB Games in Canada, same thing. But either way, they've been losing money left, right, and center. Obviously, with more people buying digitally, stocks have been in the gutter as low as like $4, $3. They're up 80%. I think it's over $40 today. And it's crazy, and it's like I kind of looked into it and back into it. I know we were talking about stocks that one episode, and we were joking about being a stocks podcast now, but I looked into it, and it actually has nothing to do with GameStop themselves. It's not like they had this like investor call or business practices or anything. It's kind of funny. So this is actually a practice called shorting in the stock world, which basically means that a bunch of people bet the company would fail, and they started buying the stocks really, really low in anticipation that once they started buying stocks, people would increase the price and then they could sell them. And it's kind of weird the way it all works, but basically a bunch of stocks were purchased shorting them, and then their stock price went up, and then they sold them and made a bunch of money. Because if you think about it, like, say you sell, you go to market and you sell like 100 things for $5, and you were only expecting to sell 10 of them, and you're like, oh crap, okay, we can charge more for these things, and then you charge more for them. But these are stocks, you can buy and sell them, right? So people bought them really cheap, and then basically the valuation went up because all of a sudden there was a lot of activity with GameStop, and then they sold them. So basically their stock is surging because people bet they were going to fail, which I thought was pretty funny. The stock price will probably go down at some point. Usually these things don't last forever. It'll probably level out. But this is also a good opportunity for GameStop because now they're actually valued more than what they really should be. So maybe they can kind of get on this news and change their business practices. And I'm not an investing expert at all. I'm just kind of going off of the limited knowledge I know. But maybe they can kind of use this to almost be a launch pad for their next start, because they clearly need to change a lot of stuff. But I thought that was interesting and funny and worth mentioning. As well, Activision Blizzard, they've confirmed that Vicarious Visions, they are the developers behind Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake, and the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy, all those kind of games, they have officially been merged into Blizzard Entertainment. This is really shitty in my opinion, because everything that the studio has been putting out in recent years they've been really, really good. They've been doing awesome remakes with Crash, and I don't know if they ever got to Spyro, I forget, but Crash and like the Crash Team Racer and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 is like amazing, and it was one of the best-selling games last year. And like clearly the studio just has a lot of talent for like reviving old games and like doing that kind of stuff, and now they've just been absorbed into a support studio for other Blizzard teams. So this kind of sucks. I was looking forward to them like doing more stuff, but apparently that's not going to happen now. So that's kind of shitty. Sea of Thieves, a game that we like playing here on the pod, and a lot of our crew likes playing. They're kind of implementing a new, I guess, like content rotation starting next week. So they're going to start doing seasonal content. So before they were kind of just doing like every once in a while they do a big content drop, like a ton of new stuff, but it was very infrequent. So now they're going to go into a seasonal approach. So season 1 starts next week, and I'm just kind of quoting everything here. It's going to bring a new voyage type for the Merchant Alliance, and it marks the start of a new release style for the game, with content added every 3 months, alongside a battle pass system that will offer rewards for those who play even for shorter sessions, which I appreciate. You progress through 100 levels of Pirate Renown, it's called, in each season, and you unlock new rewards for your pirate player character and the ship. And this is separate from the existing progression system, which is all the rankings on all that stuff and like Pirate Legend and all that. And additionally, players who have achieved the coveted title of Pirate Legend, they're going to be receiving a specialized exclusive rewards as part of the new progression system. So I think they unlock like an extra tier of things they can unlock, which is kind of cool. It's a nice nod. And there's also an optional premium tier of the Battle Pass called the Plunder Pass, which will be available, offering even more unique rewards and exclusive items from the Pirate Emporium, which is kind of their in-game shop. So I thought that was interesting. This is coming out next week, guys. I think it's like Thursday. So I'm interested to see what this looks like, and I would actually like to play Sea of Thieves next weekend, just to kind of see what this looks like. So it sounds like it's going to be a big content drop, and there's going to be a battle pass, and I think there's a lot of free stuff you can unlock, which I like.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do that. I think our other crewmates are down as well. I was talking to them, so big stuff for Sea of Thieves, and that game continues to grow and get better. And like we said a few episodes ago, I think it was back in November, so maybe one of our first episodes, they had 15 million people play last year, which is crazy. So this game it's big, and it's just getting better. I certainly have a lot of fun with it. Maybe not when we're getting chased around for hours on end, we're just trying to cash in, man, and there's a ship chasing us, and they have us outgunned and outsweated, and we're just trying to cash in. It's 3 a.m.
We just want to go to bed.
They're chasing us around. That part isn't fun, but the rest of the game is fun. So I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of stuff drops here. We're gonna move on now to some other kind of quick items, and then we're gonna get into the Resident Evil stuff, because there's lots of Resident Evil stuff happening that you guys both want to talk about. Fortnite has added Sarah Connor and T-800 skins from the Terminator series, kind of on their theme of like different like bounty hunters or like heroes from different universes. So we had Kratos and Master Chief, and now Sarah Connor and T-800. As well as there's a Predator event going on right now in Fortnite, and I don't think it's timed, but we can unlock the Predator, which is cool, just by doing some challenges, which is fun. There's a whole event there. His pod's crashed, and he's around the map, and Predator's killing people, which is cool. There are 2 new PUBG games coming very soon, 2021 and 2022. Unfortunately, and this is from like I think it's one of the board members of the parent company of PUBG. So I forget what they're called, Blue something, I think, but it's not even them. It's the company that owns them. But there's a new Battle Royale mobile title coming this year, so that's the 2021 game, and there already is PUBG Mobile, so this is something else. And then 2022 will then see the launch of another PUBG-related PC and console game, so perhaps the sequel to PUBG, maybe PUBG 2 or whatever they want to call it. But that'll be the big one. That's kind of interesting for me. We actually played a good amount of PUBG back in the heyday, before there were better battle royales out. The game's a jank mess, in my opinion. I think it's much better on PC if you have a good PC to run it, but it's so poorly optimized. I think it just comes down to the engine that game's on. But I mean, the game itself I still think is really fun, and I think that maybe a sequel, maybe built on a brand new engine that's way better, could be really good. So that's exciting for me. That's 2022, and they've probably been working on the sequel for a while, so I'm excited to see what comes from that. Got a couple more things I'm going to mention here before we get into Resident Evil. Just bear with me, guys. Big games with gold next month. Xbox Live games with gold, which we're going to talk about Xbox Live soon in the main topic. But February is really good. So there's actually 5 games instead of 4. So there's Gears 5, which is the big one, which is really cool. The remastered version of Resident Evil, kind of in line with Resident Evil news. A game called Dandara Trials of Fear, never heard of it. Interestingly enough, Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb. We were talking about the Indiana Jones game that was announced last week, and now free in February there's an Indiana Jones game. I wonder if that's a hint to maybe Indiana Jones will be Xbox exclusive. We'll see, because obviously they own what's the studio name? I forget now. The guys who made Wolfenstein. Machine Games. Yeah, they do own Machine Games now, right? Or they will in a few months once the deal closes. So maybe Indiana Jones will be exclusive. Maybe this is a hint to it. Who knows? And Lost Planet 2, which is a fun game. Shoot the big glowing orange spots on the big aliens and kill them. That game's fun co-op. I'm excited to play that with you guys, hopefully. But that's a big games with gold for February. That's usually games with gold. Like, usually I don't care about any of the games, to be honest. And every few months there's one that I like Dead Rising. But February is pretty good. There's a couple on here I want to try. Especially Gears 5. That's a big one. I mean, obviously we all have Game Pass here, so we have Gears 5. But maybe if we don't have Game Pass in the future, we'll just have Gears 5 as long as we have gold. And for like Kevin, our friend who was on the podcast a few episodes ago, he never got Gears 5, but now he can get Gears 5 and for free, and we can all play Horde mode, which is like. And
the Horde mode in that game is really good.
Gears 5 as a whole is incredibly underrated. Oh my god, it's so freaking good. You guys never finished the campaign, right?
I did.
Oh, you did?
I never finished 4.
Oh yeah, okay. I don't want to spoil anything, man, but I really liked the Gears 5 campaign.
Oh, it was really good.
It's so good, man, and I can't believe it didn't get talked about more when it came out, because that game it's super good, man.
Yeah, it didn't really get much
It got good reviews, but like for whatever reason, like I don't know, it just kind of like came and went.
I know. Yeah, like fell under the radar.
I think Gears 5 came out in 2019? 2019? Yeah, it came out, I want to say last year, but 2 years ago now.
September 6th, 2019.
Yeah, okay. I'm trying to think if there was...
Not even 2 years ago, then.
Yeah,
it's a year and a bit.
It's crazy, though. Like, it got nominated for some awards, but it didn't really win any of the awards. And, like, I don't know. I feel like that game is just supremely underrated. And it's so beautiful, too. It's funny. Gears of War gets this rep where it's like, oh, it's the bro shooter. Man, I don't know if you've ever played a Gears game, but there's some emotional parts, man. And Gears 5 gets heavy. It gets super heavy. Really recommend it. And anyone who has Xbox Live Gold, definitely get Gears 5 because it's going to be free next month. And give the campaign a go. Speaking of games coming out, Hitman 3 is officially out, came out this week, and it's reviewing super, super well. 88 on Metacritic right now, with tons of 9s and even 10s from big name outlets like IGN, GameSpot, GamesRadar, PC Magazine, etc. I've watched a couple streamers play it, and man, it looks really good. Hitman 3 looks awesome. I mean, it's nothing groundbreaking. It's a Hitman game, so if you've kind of seen Hitman 1 and Hitman 2 gameplay, at least like the newer ones, it's basically that, but really, really, really pretty. I think Hitman 2 is on Game Pass. I forget, but this is making me want to play Hitman 2. I know about you guys.
Yeah, it's got my interest up. The Hitman 1, or not the first one, but I guess like the first one in this new trilogy of games, it was free for a certain period on the Epic Games Store, so I have that. But no, I'm super interested in playing Hitman in general. I've always kind of been curious about. So just the fact that the 3 last games that come out in this series all looked really good. They all reviewed really good too.
Yeah, they were all great. Yeah.
It's getting me more and more interested.
Harley, what about you?
I want to try. I think I played a little bit of Hitman. What was it? Hitman Absolution?
Okay, yeah.
Isn't that wasn't that Xbox 5 Gold?
That might have been
once?
that might have been gold.
Was that Game Pass?
That might have been games with gold. I'm looking at Game Pass
It
right
was free on
now.
GOG, not too long ago.
A B C
I wanna give that one a try,
D,
too.
E F G H.
Yeah, that was the last one that came out before like this new
Okay.
trilogy of games.
Hitman is
so-
not on Game Pass.
Oh.
It might have been a games
It
with
was
gold.
at one
Thought
point
it-
though.
I thought it was.
It definitely
Yeah.
was at one point. I remember installing it at one point.
Yeah, me too.
I remember them being
Never got around to it.
really fun though.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. You can
Well,
like
like-
kind of take the every situation like differently.
Hmm.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I'd love to give it a try.
I don't know if I'd pay full price for it though, but that's just me,
Oh, yeah,
you know.
yeah, that's a
Especially how much
Yeah.
games cost these days. But
Yeah, no God.
yep.
either way, it looks like a lot of fun, and glad to see that it's a really great game. Speaking of, I guess not really related, but speaking of money, Nintendo
Ooh.
Switch is continuing to sell really well everywhere around the world. Japan last year, Nintendo Switch sold nearly 6 million units, which was 87% of all console sales. Basically, everything that was sold in Japan was a Switch last year. And the remainder was basically PS4 and PS5, because Xbox doesn't really have a presence. But that's like astounding to me that basically everything was a Switch last year in Japan, and console sales are up overall in Japan. And speaking of the US, Nintendo Switch was the #1 console in the US in 2020 as well, and it's been the best-selling console in the US for I think 25 months straight or something in the US. And it was the #1 console in the US for 2020 for both units sold and dollars made. And it had the second best year for dollar sales in US console history, only trailing the Wii in 2008, which is nuts. So basically it had the second best year of a video game system ever in the States, except for the Wii, which the Wii was, if you guys remember, that thing sold like insanely well. But
Everybody had a Wii.
Everyone
Except
had
for
a
me.
Wii.
Everybody had a Wii.
yeah, man.
Except for me.
We would like to play, except for Jim. Yeah, so I think it's crazy that the Switch continues to sell well, and that's interesting to me. Kind of just speaking really quickly about the whole Switch Pro rumor, how everyone's thinking, oh, they're going to release a Switch Pro. I think they will at some point, but why would they right now? The thing is still outselling everything. Like the sales are not even dipping. Like they're still going up. They're on an upward trajectory. It's crazy. Important to note that it did outsell all the next gen consoles too, but probably likely due to supply constraints, just because people couldn't buy them. So like they were kind of limited. Like PS5 sold however many millions, but it probably could have sold a few million more if they had more on the shelves. Same with Xbox, that kind of stuff. So we'll see what happens as the year goes on, if the Switch continues to just crush everything, or if the next gen consoles start to be the best selling things. Speaking of next gen, kind of sorta, there were some new patents filed, and this is kind of related to stuff that we talked about last week, by Activision and Rockstar, apparently for GTA 6, though not mentioned in name. And it's a system and method for virtual navigation in a gaming environment. That's the naming of it. And it was filed in October 2020, and it was just recently discovered. Sometimes these patents take a few months to actually be like discovered by news outlets, because so many patents are filed every day. And for those who don't know, patents are literally just like ideas that you're like claiming are yours, or like technologies that are claiming are yours. You might not ever even use them, but you're just kind of like staking your claim on it, kind of thing. And that way nobody can kind of patent it, and then you have to pay for it, right? Then if somebody wants to use the system, they got to pay Rockstar, kind of thing. But basically this new system is designed to create a realistic virtual world that is not limited by hardware and software limitations, which is kind of a big statement. Which is a response to conventional systems that are unable to produce the kind of NPC behaviors players expect within the limits of current processor and memory bandwidth. This is specifically in relation to traffic behavior. The patent details boats, cars, and drivers throughout, and the system outlined would result in a more realistic and immersive simulation of traffic. So some things they mentioned was like, for example, if you block a road in GTA, the cars just keep coming. And it just like creates a big pile up, right? Where this would kind of do is like drivers would clue in that, hey, this road's blocked, I'm going to go this way instead, and it would like divert traffic. And every driver would react differently to a stoplight and react differently to, they would all turn slightly differently. Like they wouldn't, every driver would be different kind of thing. Like that's what this would be, which is kind of nuts to think about. Sounds like a really interesting piece of tech. And the fact that we're starting to see patents filed, and there was the news last week about GTA, like maybe we're going to hear something about GTA 6 kind of soon, guys. Like it's kind of in the news again, which is exciting.
Yeah, rumors are ramping up really fast lately.
They are, yeah. So who knows? Maybe next week there'll be another piece of GTA news to talk about. But thought that was interesting and kind of a big piece of tech that they filed a patent for, and we'll see if that ever comes to see the light of day. Like I said, patents can literally never see the light of day. It's just an idea or a piece of tech that you're kind of staking as your own, so no one else can. And my last piece of news before we get into Resident Evil, and then the main topic, we've already been live for an hour, sorry guys. It's an interview with New Zealand's One News, and it was Gabe Newell, old Gaben, Valve boss, and he has said that multiple games are in development at Valve, and they're just waiting to announce them, and they're excited to announce them. They have multiple games in development, and they can't wait to show them, which is kind of a broad statement, but it's reassuring to know that Valve is still making games. I mean, they did just put out Half-Life Alyx last year, but maybe there'll be a proper Half-Life 3. Maybe there'll be a proper Left 4 Dead. Though, I mean, we're getting Back 4 Blood, so I don't know if I care about Left 4 Dead anymore.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Could you imagine?
Like competition. Like they're like, hey,
you got Back 4 Blood. Well, we got Left 4 Dead 3, and like see what people do. Oh, that could be really bad for Turtle Rock. I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah,
because people might just buy Left 4 Dead because of the name recognition. That'd be tough.
Because of the name.
Yeah, maybe a new Team Fortress. Like Valve has like a new Portal. Lots of games. Valve's made a lot of great games. So, it's exciting to know that they're still making games and not just raking in that Steam money forever, which I guess they're still doing. But exciting nonetheless. And that is it for my news. My news blast. Let's get into the big Resident Evil showcase. There was some multiplayer stuff, and obviously Resident Evil 8. Before we get into that real quick, Jim, I think there was some Resident Evil 4 stuff that you wanted to talk about, right?
So, Resident Evil 4 Remake isn't officially confirmed, really. Like, Capcom haven't said yes, we're making it. But there have been lots of reports and lots of rumors and lots of claims and whatever. But regardless, we might not see it for a while still because it's reportedly being pushed back to overhaul the development style. So apparently Resident Evil 4 has been in development for at least a couple years now, and it's followed the format that Resident Evil 2 and 3 Remake have gone through in terms of the gameplay style and the engine and everything. But because of a fan backlash with Resident Evil 3 kind of cutting content from the original game, reportedly Capcom want to keep the game's direction, and but they want to experiment with new features and mechanics that are more akin to the original Resident Evil 4, and they want to follow that template more closely as opposed to what Resident Evil 2 Remake did, where it took the original game and kind of flipped it and made it a lot better, to be honest, if you ask me. But maybe it's just modern technology or whatever it is. But not a whole lot to say on it. Just lots of rumors, lots of speculation. Kind of similar situation in my head to Metroid Prime 4, which was in development for a while, and then Nintendo decided it wasn't what they wanted, so they scrapped it. I don't think they're completely scrapping Resident Evil 4 Remake if they are developing it, because again, nothing is confirmed. But they're just going to be overhauling it essentially completely. So hopefully they don't start over, because it would be nice to get the game in the next few years. But with the bigger news coming later, I don't think that'll be an issue.
Yeah, the Metroid Prime comparison is really good. Because Nintendo was making Metroid Prime 4, and then they stopped, and they basically said they're giving Metroid Prime 4 back to the original developers, right? Like the original developers of the Metroid Prime series, because they wanted to be more faithful and true to the original. And that kind of sounds like what they're doing here, right? They want Resident Evil 4 to be more faithful and true to the original compared to what 2 and 3 have done, at least the remakes, which I think it's interesting, and I think Resident Evil 4 is particularly interesting because a lot of people love Resident Evil 4. Like if they've played a Resident Evil game, they've probably only played 4. Like it's the biggest one. I think it's the highest regarded one. It's been on every platform ever forever. Like it came out on GameCube, and it came out like on Xbox, and it came out I think on PlayStation, and it's been remastered and released like a billion times. Like, so I feel like they just really want to do it justice, and they don't want to screw it up because it's such like a, I don't want to say cult classic because it's not even a cult classic. It's just a classic, right? It's just such a classic game that they don't want to screw it up. Whereas 2 and 3, while amazing games in their own right, they don't have the same kind of clout that 4 has, right? So that's kind of what it feels like.
I'd say until at least the 2 remake came out, I think Resident Evil 4 was kind of like the template for. Well, I mean, look at 5, look at 6.
Yeah.
Even arguably look at like Raccoon City, Operation Raccoon City. They all kind of had the over-the-shoulder view, and they had the more action-oriented gameplay. So.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm waiting for like an official announcement because I remember when they announced Resident Evil 2 remake, I flipped because I was like, oh my god, like it's actually real. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
We will see. And we'll get into now the actual Resident Evil showcase. Jim, if you want to touch on the Resident Evil 8 stuff, and then Harley, I know you wanted to talk about the multiplayer thing they showed too. So Jim, why don't you start?
Sure. So Resident Evil 8, now known officially as Resident Evil Village, had its big reveal event this week. I think yesterday, as of recording this episode, which would have been January 21st. But that's the big news for the week in terms of Resident Evil and gaming news, if you ask me. We now have an official release date, May 7th, 2021. And the important part is it was originally announced that it was just going to launch on Xbox Series X, PS5, and PC. But day one, it will also be releasing on Xbox One and PS4. So initially, it was kind of speculated that they were going to release on past gen systems, but now it's official that every system's getting it the same day. Other big news out of this event was it's a direct sequel to Resident Evil 7. So a game I highly recommend everybody play. It's one of the best games ever made. I know I say that a lot, but I mean it's one of my favorite games ever. And it's just a great horror game in general. Kind of rebooted Resident Evil because again from 4 on they kind of had a more action oriented style, and they kind of lost the horror plot, and when they tried to go back to it, it wasn't as effective as it was before. In general, I think this looks stunning. Graphically, it looks really nice. Engine wise, it looks like a beefed up version of the Resident Evil engine, which was made for Resident Evil 7. It's going to feature 2 major settings: the village and the castle. Another important thing is that it has a new item management system similar to Resident Evil 4. Again, going back to fan favorite stuff. And you're also going to be able to craft items, which is really nice. It's a nice touch. There's going to be more enemy variants compared to 7, because in 7, there's not a whole lot of variety in the enemy types. There's really only a few, or a couple if you really want to argue it, not even counting bosses. I'm not going to get into story stuff in terms of it is a sequel, but I don't know if either of you have played it or beaten it, but it is so worth just going through. But the merchant is back. That's a character that I don't know if it was introduced in Resident Evil 4. It's not in the same vein or the same guy, but they have another merchant. He's known as the Duke now. You'll be able to buy and sell weapons through him, and he will show up throughout the game. He's not just a one-off person, and he's going to be in different situations when you run into him. So there's also an exclusive demo on PlayStation 5 called Maiden. It serves as a standalone narrative experience that complements Resident Evil Village, similar to what Resident Evil 7 did with its demo, where you just kind of went through the house and there's no combat in this PS5 demo. Kind of similar to, I don't think there was any combat in the Resident Evil 7 demo. That was, I can't remember what it was called. I think it was called House or Mansion or something. But yeah, a lot of big Resident Evil news coming out of this week. It's almost a lot to say, but I don't want to take up too much time here. Did you guys watch any of the reveal, or did you read anything up about it today or yesterday?
Harley?
I watched the multiplayer gameplay release, and I kind of read a little bit about Resident Evil 8.
The trailers, like the gameplay that they showed was really, really beautiful. I know it was running on a high-end PC, so there's that, but the setting looks really cool. The characters look awesome. I kind of like how they're going back to like, it almost feels like kind of like gothic, like Castlevania style in a way. I don't know.
It's almost like the opposite of 7, because 7 was like backwoods, kind
Yeah.
of dirty, swampy, and this is sort of, not to sound like a broken record, but Resident Evil 4 had a village at the beginning, and you're gonna have a nice extravagant castle or essentially a mansion to go through. It's just, I don't know. I'm so hyped up for this game now. Like, I was already hyped up before, but just seeing this stuff really confirmed it for me.
I think in this, and we were debating this too, and I really like that expression for this. Is hype dangerous? I think it is here because, it's great that this game's coming out on Xbox One and PS4, but we don't want another Cyberpunk situation. And if Cyberpunk has just showed us anything, is that we can't trust anything right now until the game comes out, right?
Absolutely.
We cannot, and like, there's other games that have done it in the past, but Cyberpunk is the biggest, most recent example, and maybe just the biggest example, period. You can't trust it. So the game looked beautiful, but it was running on a high-end PC. They weren't really doing too much with it, and the gameplay that they showed on the PS5, it was a very small part with no combat. It was very much a walking simulator, which you can make those things look beautiful, right? Like, there wasn't really much happening. So, to me, like, I got to see more. But, like, I'm not saying the game looks bad. I'm definitely excited for it. It looks really great. I never beat Resident Evil 7, but it's definitely on my list of games I want to play. That's for sure.
I reinstalled it for this purpose.
There you go.
Because I never beat the DLC for it, but I want to go through the whole game in general again before I do it. So, if in pretty much, I know hype's dangerous, and I can't help it when it comes to stuff.
Oh, it's okay to be excited. Don't get me wrong, but it's all you gotta be careful.
Cautious.
That's all.
If it's anything like Resident Evil 7 gameplay wise, performance wise is a different story. But if it's anything like Resident Evil 7 gameplay wise and story wise, I'm all for it. But if the reviews are in for the old gen systems, because I might not have a Series X, I probably won't have a Series X by that point. But if the reviews for the Xbox One are still really great, and they say, "Oh, performance wise, it's great," I don't care. I'm going all in. I'm not gonna wait. But if it's like Cyberpunk, then I'm definitely gonna wait. So we'll see. We shall see.
It's exciting nonetheless. I think this game, maybe if it's based off of the same engine as 7, probably has a better chance of running good on the PS4 and Xbox One, because obviously that engine was made for those systems too. So maybe that's the case, right? Maybe that's kind of the base of it, so it kind of scales well down to those systems. And Resident Evil 7 still looks amazing on those consoles, so like, it'll still look good either way. Harley, the multiplayer, has a Kingdom Hearts name.
Yeah, so last episode I was talking about the mysterious multiplayer game, and now we know the title, Reverse.
It's so bad.
So it's gonna be a 4 to 6 player deathmatch on maps based from the series. There's not too much information on it yet. You'll be seeing icons from the series. It says if you die in the game, you come back as a bioweapon. That's kind of cool how you can like play as a human, and then when you die, you kind of become like a bioweapon, just kind of like wreak havoc. And the other thing is that it'll be free for people who own Resident Evil 8 or Village, I should say.
So I wonder if this game will be like $10, $20, like what it'll be if you don't own it.
Oh, like on its own.
Yeah, because they
I
didn't
don't
really
know.
mention anything about that, or maybe it's just if you own Resident Evil 8. I don't know. They didn't really get into
Yeah,
that.
because I know the last Resident Evil game had a free multiplayer mode, kind of like baked into the game.
And most Resident Evil multiplayer modes, from what I understand and from what I've read, there's never really been a good Resident Evil multiplayer, like ever. It's always just been kind of gimmicky and like not great. And I don't know if any of you guys like watched the gameplay of it, but I don't know. It didn't really excite me.
Reverse, yeah.
Reverse. It kind of looked like
It looks
weird.
It kind of looks cell shaded.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It looked cell shaded. I don't know. And like, aside from like the first person combat in 7, I never really liked the Resident Evil combat. It always felt kind of jank to me. in a way.
It's very slow.
Yeah, it's slow. Like you got to
Slow
stop
paced.
to aim and like that kind of stuff. And like when you aim your gun, it almost feels like you're playing like at like an arcade with like a joystick kind of thing. I don't know. I don't really know how to describe
It's
it.
definitely improved in the two. Well, it starts with the 2 remake, but the 2 and 3 remake have really good combat.
Okay.
You're not like stifled in one place. And I don't know. I think the combat for I'll speak mostly just for 7 and then 2 and 3's remakes. It works for the type of game it is, but I do agree it's if you have like a multiplayer shooter and it has that kind of combat system, hopefully it's more fluid because it's it's a different kind of game, kind of like Resident Evil. Raccoon City Chronicles has a different kind of combat system for the type of game it is, but yeah, I got no excitement for it. I don't know. I didn't play really much of any of that. I think what was it? Was it called Resistance? I think the Resident Evil 3
Yeah.
multiplayer. I thought it sounded really cool, and I was excited to maybe try it, but then I just everything I saw and I was like, oh, like this is it. It's a thing. So
Yeah.
The ideas sound cool, but I don't feel like they're fleshed out enough.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna come and go. They're gonna release it, and
Kind of like a second thought.
yeah, it'll be like, okay, here's the thing.
Yeah.
If you like it, cool. If not, whatever. I don't know. Maybe we'll be surprised. Who knows? But I mean, it was kind of weird. And the name, yeah, like I said, a Kingdom Hearts name, Reverse, like RE-verse, not even reverse. It's just like,
Yeah.
ugh.
RE verse.
Yeah, it's like Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days, Dream Drop Distance. I don't know. It sounds like that. I don't know. But hopefully it's good. And like, yeah, it was good. It was a good show. I think people were hoping for Resident Evil 4 remake to kind of even just show up as like we're working on it, like splash screen. But I'm sure we'll get that soon. I think there's another Resident Evil movie slated to come out this year as well.
it's a Netflix series.
Oh, Netflix series. Sorry. So there you go. There's some stuff coming out. There's a lot of Resident Evil this year because I think it's the 25th anniversary or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, there's gonna be lots of stuff for Resident Evil this year. Obviously with Resident Evil Village being the capstone. So now we're gonna get into our main topic. This is already a long episode. Sorry guys.
An hour.
Yeah.
An hour and 20.
But I'm just gonna go over the facts real quick, and then we can get into it. Okay, so this was dropped today, and funny enough for everyone watching the podcast, like we didn't have like a main topic today. We were just gonna go over the news, and clearly we had a lot of it. But this dropped, and it's had to be our main topic. It's kind of nuts. So Xbox Live Gold is increasing in price starting today. So I'm going to go over exactly what that means. I'm going to be talking in US dollars here, guys, because I couldn't find the Canadian equivalents. But basically, if you're an existing online 12-month or 6-month Xbox Live Gold member, there's no price range. As long as you renew your membership, it's going to renew at your current price, so they're grandfathering that in, which is nice. So that's an important disclaimer to note here. But for everyone just buying new, or maybe their gold expired and they did not renew, the price of a 1-month gold membership is increasing by $1, and the price of a 3-month membership is increasing $5, or the equivalent amount in your local market. And going forward, the new price for 1 month is $10.99 US, 3 months is $29.99 US, and 6 months is $59.99 US. There's no 12-month option. So 12 months is now $120 US for Xbox Live Gold. It doubled in price. Xbox Live Gold just doubled in price today. And there is nothing extra being added. It's not like they're doubling the price because all of a sudden it includes Game Pass, or it's nothing like that. You don't get more games with gold. You don't get any extra features. They're just doubling the price. Period. And it is exactly a massive oof. And I think it's important to recognize that Xbox Live Gold actually hasn't increased in price in about 10 years. So if you think about inflation, maybe it makes sense that it went up in price. But I have so many problems with this. I have so many problems with this. Another couple quick facts before we get into the discussion. Xbox remains the only platform where you need to pay for subscription to play free-to-play games. So you can't just buy an Xbox One or an Xbox Series X or S or whatever, download Fortnite and play it. No, you have to pay for Xbox Live Gold, which is now going to be $120 a year. Whereas if you have a PlayStation, if you have a Nintendo Switch, if you have a PC, you don't need to subscribe to any online service. You don't need to pay for PlayStation Plus or Nintendo Switch Online, and PC obviously doesn't have any of this. But you don't need to pay for any of that to play any free-to-play multiplayer game. So that includes Warzone, Apex, Rocket League, so on. Xbox is the only place where you need to do that, and now that is up from $60 a year, which is still too much, but now it's $120 a year. So now to play Fortnite on Xbox, $120, even if you buy no microtransactions. I think that's an important fact here. Jim, I'm going to pass it over to you to start. Initial thoughts about this price increase. Yeah, what do you think, man?
Dirty, man. I don't know. It's kind of dirty. It's not. I still don't understand. It's kind of really outdated, and I've seen the word like archaic tossed around. It doesn't make any sense why it's even still a thing. Like, to have Xbox Live Gold just to play games that are free, like, that's stupid, man. Like, it's such an outdated practice. Like, and as much as I love Xbox, like, PlayStation's kind of been doing it right all along, and it's kind of weird that they've never kind of taken notes from that. And if this is all just a big push to get them to buy something else, which I'm sure you have thoughts on too, just big oofs all around. I don't know. This is the first time, I don't know if it's ever, but the first time in quite a while I've been like legitimately pissed off at something that Microsoft's like chosen to do.
Yeah, it stinks of early Xbox One stuff where like you guys obviously you remember the launch of that, where it's like, hey, Xbox One users, we're bundling in Kinect, and you have to have Kinect, and that's why it's $100 more. And also, your system always needs to be online, and you can't buy used games, and like all that stuff. It stinks of that. And
I watched that reveal live too.
And like, yeah, and like it's just like, it's crazy to think back then I wasn't too mad at that, because I'm like, oh, I always have a good internet connection. I don't care that I always need to be online. But no, that's wrong. Stupid Tony. Stupid 2013 Tony. That's a bad thing. But yeah, I mean that's what it stinks of, man. And it's, yeah, archaic is the right word. Harley, any initial thoughts?
So I was just like reading it up.
Yeah.
It was like, I kind of agree. Like, they're kind of pushing for people to buy something else.
Yeah.
Something else that didn't go up in price.
Let's just say it. They want people to buy Game Pass. They want people to buy Game Pass Ultimate, and this is the push for it. They're saying, well, why would you buy Xbox Live Gold when for just a little bit more you can have Game Pass Ultimate and you get all these benefits?
Mm-hmm.
And sure, they didn't increase Game Pass, and guess what? Like, all three of us on this podcast have Game Pass right now, so it doesn't really affect us at the moment. But this affects a lot of people, man. Not everyone's subscribed to Game Pass. And who's to say that they don't increase the price of Game Pass at one point? I'm sure they will at one point. Maybe that's down the line. But this is not the right way to do it, man. This is like it's like a sunk cost fallacy, right? So it's like, okay, I'm already paying $120 for Xbox Live Gold, so what's another X amount of dollars to get Game Pass? But like, I don't know. It's everyone's pretty mad on the internet. I haven't seen anyone like trying to defend them or like anything like that. Everyone's like basically like, what the fuck, Microsoft? Like, what are you doing? Not to mention that, I mean, we can't overlook this. We're still in the middle of a raging pandemic, and they just doubled the price of a service.
Ugh.
That's a bad look, man. I don't care what company you are. You don't do that during a pandemic. You want
most people are going to be using your service.
Yeah, and like
increase the price.
Yeah, and maybe like, people are losing their jobs.
Yeah, financial problems.
Problems. They have to squeeze the wallets a little bit. Maybe they find a way. They're like, you know what? At least I still can pay for Xbox Live Gold and play Call of Duty or whatever, and like that's fine. No, and then double the price now, man. Like, oh, it is.
Maybe they move on into something else. Maybe I'll just sell my Xbox and get a different system.
Exactly, and I always think of Kevin. I thought of Kevin all day today because of this. Not just because Kevin's dreamy or anything like that, but I thought of Kevin, and
well, he is.
Well, I mean, yes, but not for that reason. That was just a side thought.
Don't get confused.
Don't get me confused. Tell me a story. No. Because I mean, Kevin's one of the guys in our friend group who he was on the show a few weeks ago again, but he doesn't subscribe to Game Pass, and his point of view is completely valid, where he doesn't think that it's valuable to him because he he wouldn't be able to take advantage of it because he can't game all the time. Like, he kind of plays the same games, like the same few games over and over. So like, why would he need Game Pass to try out all these other games when he doesn't really care about them anyways? And he kind of likes owning his games, which I can respect. Like, there's nothing wrong with that viewpoint at all. Like, that's a completely valid viewpoint. But now, Kevin's gonna have to pay double to get the same thing. And like, this kind of lends into like the, you know, and his argument is that like, why would I, you know, and he's been thinking about this for Halo Infinite even, like, why would I get the new Xbox when Halo Infinite's coming out on PC and I can probably run it better on my PC and multiplayer is actually free on PC? Because let's look at this for a second. Halo Infinite multiplayer was announced as free to play, but it's not on Xbox. It's not free to play on Xbox. You need to subscribe to Xbox Live Gold. Like, that's a lie.
Yeah.
Right? And you can't sue anyone about for that because it's kind of like a, I don't know, it's like a loophole, but it's like, it's different, man. You know, like it's completely valid. Like, I could see this pushing a lot of people to go, okay, well, like, okay, Xbox, I don't really want to pay $120 a year, and I don't really care about Game Pass, so I'm just gonna play on my PC. You know, and on top of that, I thought this was, because I saw the games with gold thing first for February today. I'm like, oh, look, games with gold is awesome for February. They're giving us 5 games, and then I saw this, and I'm like, oh, I think they're trying to like cover it up a little bit. They're being like, yeah, gold went up in price, but look, we're giving you Gears 5 now. Like, I don't know. I think it's super sketch, man. I think it's really sketch. It's, yeah, I think archaic is the right word. There was a rumor back in the summer that Xbox is actually just going to get rid of Xbox Live Gold. And clearly that's not happening at this point. They've actually doubled down on it. It's, and you got to think of it from a business perspective too, not just a consumer perspective. Obviously, as a consumer, we need to demand that, you know, we're thought of first. I don't really care about how much money Microsoft makes, but, you know, Xbox Live Gold is basically free money to those guys. Like, it's, imagine, say, I think there's more than 20 million people on Xbox Live Gold, but say you got 20 million people playing for Xbox Live Gold, and now that's $120 a year. That's $2.4 billion. Like, that's hard to justify getting rid of, right? It's like, well, why would we just axe this $2.4 billion like income line for nothing? Like, I could see why maybe they couldn't argue that, but still, I think that maybe removing Xbox Live Gold entirely would actually push more people to Game Pass, because now instead of like having to pay for gold, you could use that same money for Game Pass. And maybe Game Pass goes down in price because it doesn't include gold anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, you know, it's whatever, and you know, you get all these extra games. Like, maybe you build up more goodwill that way. But I think this is like a really big like stain on all of the goodwill that Xbox has been building up over the last few years, guys. Like, it's been one pro-consumer decision after another. Like, Game Pass has been awesome. They added an EA Play at no additional cost for Game Pass.
Yeah,
you know, nice. Everything is backwards compatible with the new consoles, and like everything is just great. And it's been, oh, Xbox is being so consumer friendly, and then they drop this, and it's like, oh,
yep, and oof,
yeah, oof. It's almost like they just like erased everything. You know,
you were doing so well.
They were, and like I think it's important to recognize that, and this is where like you can't let your fanboyism show. And really, it's hard to, you can't really be a fanboy, in my opinion, because ultimately, this is just a good reminder that these companies are just here to take your money. You know? And it's whatever ones that you like more that eventually is going to take your money, but in the end, they're just trying to take your money. No matter how nice or whatever good policies they have, you got to remember that. And this is a good reminder of that. It'll be interesting to see if any repercussions come out of this, or if Microsoft kind of just takes this on the chin and hopes that the backlash isn't too bad. It'll be interesting, man.
I wonder if like in a week or so it just gets like reverted back.
Yeah.
Like, oh, whoops.
Oops. Sorry, guys.
I don't know though.
Xbox One stuff. They went back on pretty much most of everything that they were saying with the Xbox One originally. So
yeah, And there was a
I mean, Justin, yeah,
there you go.
Justin, like, just today, just like looking at it, there is so much stuff on this. There are so many YouTube videos
Oh,
that
yeah.
have just come up. So many websites doing articles on this. Like, I don't know.
And imagine if you're Sony right now. Like, Microsoft just gave you a
Oh,
W.
yeah.
They just gave you a W.
You're laughing.
There's like, cool, all we have to do is not do anything, and we've come out on top now.
Yeah.
Like, or if they really want to
Yeah,
fucking
it's-
slam dunk at this point, they can make their service free. And then,
Well, isn't
no, PlayStation actually, their service was free with the PS3, and then with the PS4, they started charging.
yeah, but don't they have? Isn't it like limited to something? Like you can play online free, but doesn't the subscription give you something?
No, that's different. So you can play free-to-play games free, like Fortnite and Warzone and all that, but you can't play other multiplayer games
Plus?
free. Yeah, that PS Plus is basically Xbox Live Gold, but you can also like free-to-play games you don't need
okay.
it for. They also have PS Now, which is like their Game Pass kind of thing. But
Oh.
yeah, like they're charging I think about the same amount. I think it was $60 for a year. Which, I mean, even $60 for a year is a lot of money to some people, and it certainly was when I was younger. Right now, it's not bad. Like you break that out over a number
It
of
is-
months.
Yeah, it's $70 a year.
$70 a year in Canada.
Yeah, $69.99.
Yeah, that makes sense. $10 extra in
Don't know
Canada.
if that's I don't know if that's a Canadian price.
Yeah, it probably is. I feel like that's Canadian. Everything's $10 more in Canada at least. But yeah, man. It's this story kind of blew up as soon as it came out this morning. Nobody from Xbox has said anything. It was just kind of like dropped in a wire post. Just like, yeah, this thing's happening. And it was just like, damn, this sucks. It definitely sucks. Like I mentioned, like I'm on Game Pass right now, so this doesn't impact me. But who's to say I, eventually get rid of Game Pass because maybe I'm not able to game as much anymore, and whatever, I'm not really using the service. Like we were just talking about this before the pod, Harley. Like you were thinking of maybe canceling Game Pass.
I was kind of thinking like, money's getting tight for me. So it's like, I'm not playing a lot of these Game Pass games lately. I've been sticking mostly to games that I've bought. Maybe I don't do Ultimate anymore, and I save a little bit of money every month or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
well,
maybe not.
Maybe not anymore. Now the good news is, if you can find a 12-month code, which they're still selling those, right? Like until they run out, they're still selling them at stores. Like you can run into a Shoppers Drug Mart or a Walmart or whatever, and if they have a 12-month code sitting there, you can still buy that and use it. It's all still valid. And I think you can even buy the physical codes off of Amazon, maybe even Best Buy.
I just saw that too. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I think
Some sites
as long
on
as
that.
those codes are out there, maybe now's the time to just like, if you have the money, like buy a 12-month code, and at least that way you're good for a year. But man, they should just get rid of
Jeez.
gold.
I wonder if that's all. I wonder if that's also a push for that.
Ugh.
Oh, I think we've opened up a can of worms here.
Oh man,
Oh no. Oh no,
there's
man.
a lot of angles to this.
There's a lot of angles. All of them quite shit, unfortunately. Damn.
Yeah,
It just
There's
sucks,
not
man.
many positives.
There
Time
isn't.
to
I
buy
don't think
Xbox
if
stock
any
because it's
positive,
quite
yeah.
tank.
Xbox sucks, as
Ugh.
a quote that we all say a lot, even though it doesn't. But I mean, this
Legend
definitely
used to
sucks.
say.
Yeah, the he shall not be named. Yeah, this definitely sucks though. And for like, I guess it's another reason to not own an Xbox. I guess when it comes down to the end of the day, because why would you own an Xbox when every single Xbox game is on PC at this point? Like all the first party games are day and date with PC. They're gonna run better on PC anyways, and multiplayer's free on PC. And now it's like not even just $60, it's $120. Now, mind you, the cost of building a PC is much higher than the cost of buying a Series X, which is basically a high-end
The
gaming PC.
investment.
But it is an investment, exactly. So
I mean, Xbox is for gaming. PC, you could do a wide range of stuff.
oh yeah, you can stream, you can
It's-
play
it's not just
games, you
limited.
can do photo editing, video editing. Maybe you need it for work or your job. Like there's it's not just for gaming, so there's lots there. But I mean, I think the value of a console is still there, because like the Series X, for what it's worth, is, you know, outperforms a lot of PCs at this point. Like, you need a high end PC to outperform a Series X. But eventually that gap is gonna, you know, become less wide, and you'll be able to build a pretty solid gaming PC for, you know, under $1,000, and it's gonna do a lot more than the Series X. Whereas right now, the Series X is probably gonna outperform that PC. Though maybe, I don't know, maybe you can do that now, but I don't think that's possible right now with the specs. But either way, yeah, it's just disappointing, guys. It's super disappointing. I don't really have any more thoughts on it other than this fucking sucks, and I hope that someone does something about it.
Yeah. I guess we'll have to see in the coming days, maybe weeks, see what happens.
They also dropped it on a Friday. They dropped it on a Friday morning. So now this is going to simmer with everyone over the weekend, because guaranteed they're not going to say anything over the weekend. Oh, I don't know, man. We'll see. I think ultimately, like, I don't know. I think people are going to look at this, and it's going to go one of two ways. Either they're going to lose a lot of customers, or people are just going to let the subscription cost roll, because they're already existing members, and it's going to be $60 still, and they're not going to care. Or people are just going to accept the $120, and maybe they'll do another price increase in a few years. Like, the buck's got to stop somewhere. And in my mind, like, PC and console gaming needs to be equal in a lot of ways. Where, like, it sucks that PC players have it for free when we have to pay $60 a year to basically just get access to play the game we want to play. You know? And I'm not saying that PC players need to pay $60. No. Other way around. Like, we need to pay $0 for that. And you know, Game Pass is a perfect thing where, like, yeah, I'd pay for Game Pass because you get all these extra games. I don't need to buy games, and I can spend my $10 a month, $15 a month, whatever it is, get access to these games, but I shouldn't have to pay money to be able to access the game online when I should just be able to play the game.
Yeah, it's kind of unfair that way.
It is.
I don't know. I don't want to be too negative. I want to see what.
But how
Xbox
could you
says
be positive about
what
it, though?
Spencer says.
That's the thing.
Yeah, there's got to be a reason, even if it's just if they come out and say, you know what, we did it because we're pushing Game Pass, blah blah blah. At least give us some explanation. If they don't say anything over the weekend, I don't know. I'm getting a little more sour about it the more I think about it. But like you were saying, like, it doesn't really affect us. And yet I'm still mad about it because I feel bad for anybody who wants to get an Xbox, and now they have to kind of do this ring around bullshit where it's like, okay, kind of like in Kevin's case, he's like, I don't want to get Game Pass. I want to support certain games that I want to play. I don't want to support, you know, the whole company as a whole, and then maybe be able to play some games. So like now in the back of my head, even now it affects me now because I just kind of thought of this. Now I'm going to want to try and play Game Pass games more because
yeah, exactly.
You know,
that's what I was thinking.
It's kind of like a better. Okay, I'm gonna sound wrong when I say this. It's kind of a better deal now, which is exactly what Xbox wants you to think. To get Game Pass Ultimate, but now I want to start really abusing it. When, you know, I just started Assassin's Creed 4, which I've owned for how many years and just getting around to it now. But now it's like, okay, well, I have Doom Eternal on PC from Game Pass. I'm gonna want to play the shit out of that now. I'm gonna want to start playing, you know, all these Game Pass games that I wasn't even like thinking of getting to around now. I'm gonna start playing them now, and that's gonna get in the way of other stuff I've started. So now I'm kind of pissed off because they're kind of impeding my own, you know, backlog of shit I gotta get to. It's just
if you think about it that way, yeah, I guess so.
You've got a backlog.
That's kind of self-induced at the same time.
And I have the biggest fucking backlog out of all of us.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's kind of self-induced.
Out of the two of you and Kevin combined. So I mean, like,
yeah. I don't know.
Whatever. You know what? You know what, Microsoft? You're my favorite company. But what happened? What happened? I want to know who decided this.
I
I wanna know
guarantee,
who fucked up.
I guarantee, and you know what? Maybe I shouldn't guarantee because that might come back to bite me in the ass. But I don't think this was a Phil Spencer move. I think this was a board move of, hey, Xbox Live has been the same price for 10 years. Let's raise the price. And the board decides it.
Screw everybody.
Well, yeah, I mean the board just wants to make money, right? I bet this was
Bill Gates.
No, it's not Bill Gates. It's the board. It's different. It's different. It's the investors. Bill Gates isn't even really at Microsoft anymore. These are just people who are Anyways, but I don't think this is a Phil Spencer thing. I think this is probably above his head and maybe even above some other people's heads there. But who knows? Maybe it isn't. Maybe Phil's like, yeah, like this is part of my strategy. I want people to buy Game Pass. In which case, I'm sorry, Phil, but this is not the right way to do it.
Hopefully this leads to them abolishing it, because that's kind of what I'm hoping.
Oh,
Like
I mean, either way, like the stink is made. You know, like
they've already stained their undergarments.
Yeah, like the fart has left the body. It's in the room. The windows are closed.
It made the PowerPoint.
It's in the PowerPoint. It's off the whiteboard into the PowerPoint, and it's there now. Like, I don't know. Like, it's even if they go back and say, okay, guys, sorry, we screwed up. It's back to whatever, or hey guys, sorry we screwed up, guess what, it's free now, then they just look like idiots either way. It's like, oh, so you only went back because we got mad. I don't know. Anyways, I guess that doesn't really matter, because if it goes free, then I'm happy either way. But I think that's a good place to end it, though. Farts in the room.
We'll just have to see.
Yeah, we're gonna see what happens over the coming days, the coming weeks, if there's anything else that comes out of it, or maybe they just hold their ground and they don't really talk about it. We'll see.
Do they open a window to let it out, or
exactly, just the fart just fester and get into the wallpaper, get into the paint, get into the carpet.
Nice and stale.
That's a really bad analogy. I don't know why I thought of a fart, guys, but here we are.
Because it's bullshit, that's why.
It is bullshit, you're right. That's a good reason.
I hate getting so worked up and yelling, but whatever. I said my piece.
At the end of the day, guys, it's video games. It's, we should just be having fun with it, but it sucks that when these decisions come in and you're like, oh, well, that just really sucks, But we'll see what happens. Jim, did you think of a question? I know you said you were thinking of one, or maybe thinking of one during the podcast. If not, that's cool.
Let's have a positive question this week.
Yeah, let's make it completely different.
What game are you excited to finally get revealed this year? Will it be, or in more detail, I'll say, will it be Dragon Age? Will it be the next Elder Scrolls? Will it be Starfield? Is there a game that you want to have a big reveal this year?
I want the next Duke Nukem game to be revealed. Thank you.
Oh, you shut up.
No.
Nobody. Not even Randy Pitchford, who owns the Duke Nukem license, wants.
I want Duke Nukem Eternal. That's what I want. Oh. No.
Well, if you want Duke Nukem Forever or another Duke Nukem game, just play Bulletstorm and put on the Duke Nukem DLC. Yeah. That's the closest we're gonna get.
No.
And it's fine. I like it. It's fine.
No, not Duke Nukem. I mean, the only game I'm really excited for this year is Halo Infinite, but I would love to hear some more information on the next Fable game. Really, I want to see where that's going. I know it's probably super early in development, but I'd like to see maybe a short gameplay trailer or maybe a more in-depth cinematic trailer at some point. That would be fun. Fable 2 is one of my all-time favorites. Excited for that series to come back. Harley?
Dragon Age.
Dragon Age.
Show.
Yep.
I mean, that would just be news. Probably not even gameplay. Probably too early for that. Well, who knows?
I feel like that game's been in development for a long time.
I don't know.
The Inquisition's been out for like what? 7,
it has
8
been.
Years now?
It's been a long time.
8 years? I know.
2014 it came out, I think.
So 7 years then.
Really? Oh man.
Oh no. You check your watch. Oh no. What happened?
No. Okay, yeah. I want it coming out then.
There you go. Cool. Jim, did you already mention yours? Sorry.
I I mean, Resident Evil 8 would have been my answer if it hadn't already happened. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw a curveball here because I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this game, and I think it's kind of had its reveals, but like nothing official in terms of a release date. But I want to know when Star Citizen's going to be done and coming out. 'Cause that game was supposed
Never.
to be essentially what Starfield's going to be, from what I feel. So, actually, no, I'm going to change my answer. I want a big reveal for Starfield because we only ever had that like one teaser, and like that
Yeah.
really didn't mention it. It just pretty much showed the name. So
We should get more
I would
Starfield
love
info
to
this
see
year.
what that game is.
We should-
Hopefully that comes to fruition.
Yeah.
Either that or Resident Evil 4 remake. One of the two.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm in a bad mood. I'm gonna admit it.
I'm sorry, we were
Actually,
super
no.
negative there, guys, but like I don't know, I think it needs to be discussed. It needs to be talked about. It's one
I
of those
want like a
things.
Star Wars Skywalker Saga big reveal. Give us a release date. It's been like, it's been way too long.
Yeah.
Give
I
me
would
something.
like a High Republic game.
Ooh, the High
okay.
Republic.
Okay, short plug here before. Actually, no, I'll plug it during the social thing.
Okay. Cool. Speaking of socials, well, actually, before that, oh, a reminder for anyone in the comments listening to this: you want to hear your answers too. So, what's a game you would like to get some more info on or a big reveal this year? But now, going to the socials.
Oh. So we are here on YouTube, so give us a subscribe, maybe a like, goes a long way.
Yep.
On Facebook, we are Follow My Tracers. At Twitter, we are at FMT Show. And Tony, would you like to plug anything?
Jim, do you remember when we were doing one of our other podcasts? It was after Mythic United, but then I said like "Welcome to Mythic United." I remember that. It was funny.
Are you plugging something we haven't touched in like 4 years?
Everyone go visit mythicunited.com. No, I don't even.
Hey, it's still on Twitter. You can still look at our old shit.
Yeah,
So.
if you guys want to look at some old shit, search up Mythic United. No, but seriously, follow me on Twitch at Figure9, Figure09 specifically, and Figure9 TV on Twitter.
Nice. And Jim?
So if you want to follow me on Xbox, or GOG, or Steam, or the Epic Games Store, if you can even do that, just search Power Grudge, you'll find me. And I want to quickly plug, because you mentioned the High Republic, a couple of weeks ago, or a few weeks ago now, I guess, Star Wars came out with a brand new book that's kind of kickstarting this whole new era called the High Republic. And about a third of the way through the book, and it is one of my favorite Star Wars books ever. And I say that
I'm hearing
not
good
lightly.
stuff. I'm hearing good
It's
stuff.
really engaging, and considering with the new canon after Disney had bought Star Wars, which I think I mentioned in the last episode, they started a new canon. So this is the furthest back we've gone, and it opens up a lot of potential for games, for even movies or TV series, and especially books. Excellent stuff.
Nice.
Good stuff. All right, guys. Well, this has been Follow My Tracers. Thank you for listening. I know it was a long episode, and I know we got kind of negative at the end there, but I think it was important to discuss. And we want to hear your thoughts about it, so let us know in the comments. And until next week, we are Follow My Tracers. Have a good one, everyone. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.